hello. Good morning. Thank you for coming by today. Today, the date that I'm recording this is the 6th of June. That's actually a fairly important day in history. Hello, I'm Dave. I do the Spy Flight over on Twitch, and 99.9% of the time we're doing jetliner flights and general aviation. This is the one time of the year, though, that I do turn my attention to military aviation and what could best be described as the tip of the sword. On D-Day. That's June 6th. And we're going to do the flight later on Twitch. It's Flight Plan Boston from Operation Neptune. This was the Pathfinder flights. These were really the first people that took off in the dead of the night so that they could go and basically light the way for everybody that would follow. This is our flight plan. That's actually, that's a really nicely done map for Flight Plan Boston. And those are all the different waypoints: Austin, Elko, Flatbush, Gallup. Those were all of the flight plan routes that they followed. It was a box flight, and the altitudes were pretty important too, because they basically went out over the channel and back over the channel in the same flight path. So you went out over the channel at 500 feet and came back at 3,000 feet so that they could avoid, head-on collisions. Weather was a very, very big deal. This is our weather right now for us and our departure here. As we take a look at a few things, you're going to hear me using terms like Archbury, Austin, Elko, and Flatbush. Incredible names here, and here's some of the names that they had for the checkpoints over the drop zone. One of the first drop zones, at least the one that we're going to, is Drop Zone Tango, and that was between Peoria and Paducah. Okay, those were not the real Peoria and Paducah, but we're over here right now at Archbury. Now, this is actually a fictional airfield in the UK, and this airport, if you recognize the name Archbury by any chance, it was the fictional airfield that Gregory Peck operated from in the movie 12 O'Clock High. So the reason that I chose to do Archbury's airport is a lot of the original airports are gone. They're just not there anymore. So here's a central place that we can go. This is a really interesting flight plan. Normally, the flight plans that I do on the Spy Flight are very, very different from the flight plan that we're doing today. To be able to go and take those old checkpoints and put them into a modern flight plan, with our modern nav aids, because the nav aids that they were using back then, they aren't there. And some of those nav aids was, a light on a boat that was anchored out, in station keeping here in the channel. So what I've been able to do is go and plot get the original latitudes and longitudes, which are available. There is an incredible resource here, link in the description below, and these are all of the original field orders for the Troop Carrier Command and their operations. And if you look, it's very small, but there is Flight Plan Boston down there. And Troop Carrier Command, this was, again, I'm using the term, the tip of the sword here. So as of the time that I'm recording this video, it is the 6th, and there is an interesting Twitter feed that you can go and check out. It's called Second War Tweets from 1944. And they would basically, if, God forbid, Twitter had existed back then, we probably wouldn't be here. But anyway, this is sort of a real-time live tweet of what was going on. And so as of the time that I'm doing this, boats were coming ashore. So Canadian soldiers here from the 9th Brigade were coming ashore on Juno Beach. Okay, this was tweeted out 2 hours ago. This is a really interesting one, and yes, I'm going to include the link in the description below. There's also another really interesting link. I don't think I can play this here, because the copyright police will come breaking down my door. But this was the BBC announcing that D-Day has come. And it's really an amazing little broadcast to listen to, and link in the description below. So these are some of the resources that I've been using here. There's another resource as well. This is actually in the public domain. This is a video over on YouTube. Link in the description. And this is like an hour and a half movie that they put together on the invasion. And so here's our flight plan, just a little bit.
1944. Groups will take off from their home airdromes and assemble at wing assembly points. They will proceed to the command assembly point at Elko, then to the command departure point at Flatbush.
Okay, so now you know where it is that I'm getting some of these names. Elko and Flatbush, that's right in here. Our flight plan is basically going to be we're starting at that little airport called Archbury, and a airport nearby would be Oxford, the real world airport. So we'll start off at Archbury and go down to those two checkpoints. So there's a mid checkpoint here called Austin, and then there is another checkpoint called Elko, and then also Flatbush. You just heard him talking about that. So all of the flight plans and orders and everything like that are on that one website. In fact, that is this is the document. You can see there's classifications that have been scratched out and everything else. So this was the 9th Air Force Tactical Plan for Operation Neptune. And this is a 95-page document. Some of it is very hard to read, but you're able to go and piece things together like the flight plan. So if you take a look here, here is the Neptune, here's the map that came with that, and it gives you latitudes and longitudes. So here is that one checkpoint, Elko, right there. And then there's Flatbush right there. And it says here, there was a Eureka splasher beacon down here. That's not there anymore. So how did I go and translate all of this? Well, what I did is I used an online resource here, and it's called SkyVector. And so first I went and got all the latitudes and longitudes, and I plugged these in. For departure and arrival, I had to go and use Oxford Airport instead of Archbury, but then I created a latitude and a longitude for Archbury. And so here's Oxford down here. This is our departure point at Oxford right here. But what we're really going to do is we're going to take off from this point here, which is Archbury. Now then, a lot of the those old navigation beacons, and they're not there. So how do we get to the right point? There's several ways to do this. I think one of the easiest way to go is here is a VOR. It's current, and this is Daventry, and that's at 116.4. So you could kind of draw a little line here from Daventry to this point here, which is our Archbury Airport, which is exactly what it is that I've gone and done. These are my flight notes for Operation Neptune and our flight that we're going to take later on today on Twitch. And if you look down here, here's the flight plan. So Archbury is my first checkpoint. And from that first waypoint here, Daventry, if you take a look at Daventry right here, Archbury is 14 miles away from that VOR, and you're going to be on the 042 degree radial. So that gives us an idea of there's our first way to figure out, are we where we're supposed to be? The next checkpoint is Austin, and there's another VOR called SAM. Let's look down here, and so we're going to come down, and there's the Compton VOR. Let's keep going down. Oh, here's SAM, Southampton. And here, this is this checkpoint. That is checkpoint Austin, I believe. And then there's Elko over here. And so Austin is basically on the 137 degree radial and 16 miles. So in the airplane, if I go and I set the radial in my VOR, and I look at the DME and I see, it's centered up there. And if we're 16 miles away, I know that I am at Austin. And that's kind of the way that I've got this whole flight plan, kind of mapped out here. So then we come on down here. Here is Elko. And then if you go down here, this is Flatbush down here. So that's how you get out over the channel. And then out here, you're kind of on your own. I've got more waypoints. From the Guernsey VOR and also the Jersey VOR. So there's a couple of VORs down here that we're going to be able to use. So there's Jersey right there. And let's see, Guernsey I think is going to be up here or over here. I'd better figure that out before I take off. Oh, Guernsey, right down there. There, yes, 109.4. Okay. So this is how it is that I'm going to be doing some navigation. Now, this is very, very imprecise, but you have to remember, in those days, it was very imprecise navigation. So what's one more thing that us flight simulator pilots can do on this? Well, we can use something like Little Nav Map, which is free and an incredible flight simulator utility. Or if you've got a Navigraph subscription, you can also use Navigraph. And all of the latitudes and longitudes that I've gone and put in my little file, you're able to plug into Navigraph. And so you could also use the moving map here, and the moving map should help you stay on course. Now, this is the third or fourth time that I've done this particular flight. I'm going to try to not use this, but I'm going to have it minimized on the other monitor. So if I get really, really lost, I will be okay. This file is a little bit big, so I can't, normally I like to take my flight plan and clip it into the description. So what it is this file is available over on the Spy Discord. If you're not on Discord, you can leave a message and we'll figure out some way to get it to you. There's a couple of links that I've included here in the description, including that Drop Zone Normandy video, a link to the D-Day documents, and also another video, a video called Dax Departing Duxford. So over in the UK, the airplane that we're going to fly today is the C-47. That was the American designation for this airplane right here. The C-47. In civilian aviation, it was known as the DC-3. And this is our airplane that we're going to be using, which is what it was that they were using on this flight. I believe the British designator for this airplane was Dakota, and they shortened it to the DAX. So they call them the DAX. And then so that's why there's that video. And so those videos I've linked in the description as well. It makes for some very interesting viewing, especially for this amazing mission. Comparatively, these are very primitive airplanes to the airplanes that we are flying today, but this was also real aviation because you climb into the cockpit here. Now, they've also included some modern avionics in this that they didn't have, so we'll basically be able to use those avionics. We've got some VOR radios up there that they didn't have. Let's see, my props need to be down there. So, but there are a lot of buttons. This airplane is the V-Sky Labs C-47. Now, here's the thing. This is, I believe, like version number 4. And so the V-Sky Labs, here is a condensed checklist. You really, 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 really need to have a look at this book, because there's this airplane is not going to operate like the other airplanes that you have in X-Plane. Now, let's say that you want to do this flight, but you don't have this airplane and you don't have X-Plane. What could you do? Well, you could get an airplane like the de Havilland Twin Otter, because our average speed is going to be about 140 miles an hour. We are not going to be going very fast. This is probably a 3 to 4 hour mission that they flew out there, both inbound and outbound. So you could do the de Havilland Twin Otter, which a friend of mine, Sunjammer, is actually going to be flying on Twitch later on today. So you can fly this very same flight plan in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Now, the fictional airport that we're at today, Archbury, is not in there. So you would take off from the other airport, Oxford, and then just join all of the latitudes and longitudes that I've listed in the flight plan that way. The one thing that is a little annoying, this is an older scenery. Archbury, it's for, I believe this was for X-Plane 9. So this is like super duper old. And annoyingly, if you have Orbix True Earth, which I do recommend for this flight. It's getting a little bit heavy for me right now. Unfortunately, Orbix True Earth puts a building right in the middle of the of the runway there. Fortunately, the winds for today means that we can take off on runway number 8, and we don't have a building in the middle of the way. But unfortunately, that's in there. This is a very, very old scenery, and it would really be absolutely awesome if somebody who knows about scenery would go and fix this. One of the other things is there are some incredible airplanes from the period that are available that you can get for X-Plane and also for Microsoft Flight Simulator. I would also suspect that one of the things that you could do is you could also fly this mission in DCS World. That's the combat simulator. And that one's going to be a little bit more realistic because the civilian simulators, X-Plane and Microsoft Flight Simulator, don't have planes shooting at you. There are flight scenarios over in DCS World where you have to worry about that too. So I don't know if there's a C-47, but there is an amazing Mosquito over in DCS World. So lots of opportunities to do this. Let's hop into the airplane here. Now, again, this is not going to be the first flight, the full flight, but let's at least see if we can't take off and test my little theories here about some of this stuff, okay? So do a little flying here, and you're welcome to pause the flight too and try and fly along, but mostly I suspect that this is going to be mostly a spectator type of a deal. One of the things that is available in X-Plane is something called X Checklist. It's a free utility you can get over at xplane.org, and that's what you see up here. That's this thing right up here. This is my X Checklist. And for this airplane, I really suggest, I think the airplane actually comes with this checklist here. So let's go to next. And the aircraft inspection has been done. We got to do fuel. Got to do some refueling here. How do you do that? Well, so we can come over here and we're going to go to the upper thing. Let's click the airplane and let's click the customize button and let's do weight, balance, and fuel. So here you can actually put in the amount of fuel that you need. I recently did a flight plan. Actually, this is last year's flight plan that says I need 3,210 pounds of fuel. So 3,277 is my current fuel weight. Now, as far as payload, I have not really done a very good job of figuring out the payload yet. That's one of those pages in all of those original documents that's really, really blurry, and I haven't figured out. But you actually get an idea of the payload of these airplanes too. So we've refueled the airplane, so we're done with refueling, and let's go up here, and you got to look and see are all the radios off. And this airplane note, you got to go and turn off all the radios. So we're just going to turn off all of our radios. Now watch what happens when I turn off the last radio here. So let's do COM 1. And watch, I'm going to turn off COM 2. You see up here on X Checklist, see where it says all radios? I'm going to turn it off. Watch what happens. See how it checked itself off? So the X Checklist follows you along, and once you complete the operation, it checks it off for you. How about that? Okay, so then the next thing to do is make sure that all of your switches are down. So there's the switches on the pilot's side. They're all down. Are all the switches down over here? Yep, they're all down. How about that? So all switches are down. It's time to start turning things on. So the one thing is let's see, I'm going to make sure that my parking brakes are, I believe, set. I think my parking brakes are set. And let's go and do master battery switch. And so that's going to be up here. And there's the master battery switch. Oh, how cool is that? Now you can also adjust your cockpit lights. So instrument lights, I'm just going to move these around back and forth. Let's also turn up the co-pilots. And you see that it has checked that off. It also wants to know about your aileron and trim controls. Here's the indicators down here. And I actually have these set. So did you see how those moved? My hat switch, left and right, is my right and left. Okay, we also have rudder adjust. I don't actually have that one set up at the moment. And then we also have, it's kind of hard to see here, that is my nose trim. So I've got ailerons. I don't have a knob for rudders right now, and I need to figure out one. But the trims are good. Okay, atmospheric manifold pressure, the actual pressure outside, and according to the METAR, it's 1015 millibars. The outside air temperature, we're checking that, it's 14 degrees. Cylinder head temperature, it should be cold. Those temperatures are over here. Yeah, you got to worry about cylinder temperatures right over there, and oil temperatures. So those should all be cool and basically equal to your outside temperature. And the undercarriage warning light should be green. The undercarriage warning light should be green. Okay, I've got a... Is that a red light over there? I think that might be green. I'm not sure. I think it's good. I'm not 100%. The gear is down. So one of the things is if you look over here, your landing gear lever is here. I think landing gear is good. But this is only the third time that I've actually had this airplane up and going. So I got a lot to learn. Okay, let's go down here and let's do fuel. So fuel is over here, and and there's basically 4 tanks, but there's only 2 that you can control. So we're going to turn the left tank to the left engine and the right tank to the right engine. And then they want you to verify your fuel, and you verify your fuel right here. And you kind of come over here and you can see we got fuel in all of our tanks. Now what happens is it'll juice off the left and the main tanks, and then when the main tanks are empty, this simulator will automatically go to your auxiliaries. You don't have to change that. Tail wheel, it is unlocked. We need to lock the tail wheel. I have this set up on a button, and it even says so. Cowl flaps. The cowl flaps are over here. And I'm not able to get as many views as I would like. I need to add some more views to this, so I'm still working on that. So cowl flaps are now open. Mixture controls, rich. So it's the actual command there says auto rich and cut off. So auto rich and cut off, if we look over here, what I have is I've got my mixture set all the way over here. And that if I just roll it all the way forward, it's happy. The prop controls, there's my propeller controls. Now you still have to edge these forward just a little bit. I don't know why the full travel doesn't work, but it doesn't. And now we're going to go and get our throttles up. And so here's my throttles going up, and I just move it forward until the throttle checklist check mark goes in. There it is. Okay, so we're ready to go here. Let's go and do the nav lights. And there's our nav lights. All right, right fuel mixture is auto rich and full rich. Okay, so, and auto rich and full rich. Oh, you have to hit the request the engine start first. Now let's do it again. There we go, that's good. Right magneto switch. So the right magneto switch goes to both, and that goes to both. Right booster pump for 4 seconds. Okay, here's your booster pump here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Look down here. And do we have about 4 to 5 psi of fuel? We do. So 4 to 5 psi of fuel is good. Right booster pump goes off. Right engine starter. Okay. So here's what happened. There is another switch, and it's not in the checklist. Surprise! And it's this thing here. Got to turn that on. So this checklist is not 100% complete. Let's look back down here. Okay, the fuel pressure we need to reboost. So let's reboost it. 1, 2, 3, 4. We have fuel. Turn it off. Let's see if we get lucky this time. Oh my gosh, we got an engine going. All right, we need our RPM down to 1200 RPM. There's 1200 RPM on that engine. Okay, come on up here, do the right generator. Goes on. Then check the voltmeter. The voltmeter, if there's another voltmeter, I haven't found it. There's an amp meter over here, and that doesn't seem to be right. It also wants you to do the battery master check, switch off, and do a check on that one. So battery master is off. Check the voltmeter, we did, and battery master on. Again, I don't know exactly if we've got that, if I'm doing that correctly. I haven't found the other voltmeter. You know, I've got that's amps, but there's a difference between amps and volts. Shall we start another engine? Let's go. So magneto is on. Left boost pump. 1, 2, 3, 4. We have fuel pressure. Turn the booster pump off. Engine start on. Oh my gosh, we've got an engine start. Now go to your throttles, and you want to roll that left throttle back down to 1200 RPM on your throttles here. Maybe a little bit more. Okay, let's go up here. Left generator goes on, and I want you to do the same checks. Let's do the battery check. So battery goes off. Yeah. I'm going to assume we're in good shape. Battery is on, and the left voltmeter is good. So I've got to figure out where the voltmeters are. All right, now it's going through and checking out a whole lot of stuff for you. If there was carburetor icing, we would be worried, but we're not today. Let's go and do the oil temperature. That's over here, and oil temperature needs to be between 40 and 110 degrees. We're between 40 and 110. I'd say that's good. Cylinder temperature should be increasing. So if it's going up, we got good news. Now this, you've noticed, see that is a little higher than this one. I think we're probably okay. In fact, maybe I'm just doing some creative viewing here. Okay, let's have a sip of coffee here. Let's listen to the roar of the engine for a second. Okay, let's look at it again. Are they going up? Yes, it's going up. So we can say that those are good. Let's do a flight control check. Okay, sit down, make sure your chair's locked, and come on over here. And we'll look down, and there is right, left, forward, back, right. Okay, so that's good. Now then, it does say transponder set and standby and set. So we do have a transponder aboard. That's over here. And so the transponder's going on. We could probably also turn the rest of our radios on too. So there's the ADF. Here's Nav 1, Nav 2, and DME 1. We'll also do the comms. And my ATC, for some reason, is not showing up. I probably did something wrong. So that's not working at the moment. I don't know what I did wrong. See, I've already screwed it up. Okay, flight plan is done. Altimeter. So let's see, the altimeter is over here, and you kind of notice that I'm off to the side a little bit. The yokes kind of get in the way here. Altimeter here is 301. I'm just gonna, okay. Let's see, I need to do the math. Let's see, I'm not gonna do the math. Let's go ahead and I'm going to cheat. I know, how dare I cheat on a historic flight like this. We are near Oxford, EGTK, Oxford. And it says 29. I don't want historical data, and I don't want it in QNH. How do I change it? Okay, here it is down here. 1015, thank you. I know, I should be able to do that in my head, but I can't. Oh, and I wanted it into inches of mercury. 2997. Jeez. There's 30. There's 2996. 2997. Okay. Man. The lengths that I will go through. Okay, so we got that set up. Artificial horizon. So let's see. This is the autopilot over here. We do have an auto horizon here. I don't know if there's a way to turn this off. I really like this. I don't see that there's a click zone to do that. So it's just going to kind of be in the way. So I think our artificial horizon is in good shape. There it is over there. So we're going to call that, and directional gyro. So we got our directional gyro over here. And there's a compass. And so you would have to look at your magnetic compass, which, by the way, You see how it's bouncing like this, as it would in the airplane. Okay, so we are basically on a heading of 1-8. What do you think? 184? So let's see. What do we got over here for a heading indicator? Yeah. See, this would be here. I'm not sure that this one's set and ready to go yet. See, there's so much to learn, and I don't know all those things. So let's say we're in good shape. Let's see. Propeller de-icers. I don't think that we need de-icers. Pitot 2, Pete. I'm going to go ahead and do that. It's still the UK. It's still chilly. So let's do pitot heat de-icers left and right. So those are good. Carburetor de-icers, I think we're good there. And now it's time for taxi. So for taxi, we do landing lights on. Parking brakes are released. Apparently my parking brakes are released. That's scary. So let's see. I thought I had those set. I think that that's good. Okay, I think let's see if we can roll the airplane about. So let's see. We'll look forward. Let's see if the airplane starts moving. Up, we're rolling. Okay, so it's a good thing. Let's look outside. And maybe it's a better view over here. Okay, so thrust back down to idle. Right brake. Okay, that worked. And left brake. Okay, brakes are working. Now, steering this thing's a bit of a bear. So we just did the left toe brake. Okay, the turn indicator, we're good there. Left brake, right brake, and now we're going to go to the holding point. So you use differential braking, I found, works with this. I'm going to release my tail wheel. Differential braking to make this thing work. Notice over here we have a church. This is part of the scenery, and that's a landmark that we need to look for. Little taps on the left brake. See if we can't get on this this hard taxiway area here. Maybe add a little more power to the right engine. And then once you get on the taxiway, all of a sudden, the airplane starts taxiing faster because you're not just going through the grass. I realize it's probably hard to hear. I'm taxiing super duper slow with this airplane. Tail dragger taxis are notoriously difficult. Especially if you're not used to them. If you're not used to them, wow. Okay, so now we're coming up to the hold short point. So let's call it hold short right here. We're at the hold short point. And I think that that's my parking brake. So parking brake should be on and the red light. That is not my parking brake. Let's go and see. I thought I had my parking brakes already set up in here. Look at my joystick. And let's see. Do I have... I thought it was 7 and 12. 7 is landing gear up and landing gear down. Boy, that's a problem. Landing gear down. So where's my parking brake? So checklist, nothing. Gear up, do nothing. Slider control. It's 10. That must be it. No, that is a safety switch. That's the safety. That is a safety switch for the landing gear. Okay, so I don't know what I'm doing there. Whoops, wrong. Which one's my parking brake? I thought I had that set. Throttle, do nothing. Toggle brakes, 17. Where the hell is 17? 17, that's this one over here. Okay. Oh, look at that. It's red. Now it's off. Okay, there's parking brakes. Boy, good to know about that. All right, now, this is an old airplane, so one of the things you do is you do the run-up. And the run-up is both engines, 1,700 RPM. (16 and 17). 1,700 RPM. Okay, right magneto goes right, left, and check. This is a little hard to do, so you go right, left, and you're supposed to also look down here for an RPM drop with those things. Left magneto. And you're supposed to look down each time to say, oh, we did get a drop. Did you see it came back up? So that's pretty cool. It's just hard to get all those. Okay, let's do the propellers. Okay, here is the right propeller, all the way down, and then all the way back up. And then left propeller, all the way down, and all the way back. And then again, for your propellers, at least for me, I still have to click these a little bit to get them back forward. So our propeller controls are good. And we observed a drop, and propellers are forward. Engine power, okay, 40 inches manifold pressure. So now we have to look and see. So there's 30. So now we roll the throttles up a little more to get us to 40 inches manifold pressure. And there's 40 inches of manifold pressure. And it should be 25 to 2,700 RPM. That's correct. Okay, now run your engine all the way down to idle. And that's going to be 900. So there's 1,000. And there's idle. And then put it back to 1,200 RPM. Okay. Okay, elevator trim controls set to takeoff, which is down minus 1.5. This is kind of hard to see. So it's down here, and so it's nose down 1.5. That's good. I think that's it. So there's 0.4. So I think, so there's 2. I think that's 1.5 right there. Fuel systems. I think our fuel is good, and we're ready for takeoff. So transponder goes to altitude. Our transponder is just not working. I don't know what I did to the transponder. We have strobe lights. Strobe lights can go on, and we'll record our takeoff time. Okay, so now it's parking brake is off. Parking brake is off, and we're going to go and line up. And so we're going to add a little bit of power and get us going here. Not much. These airplanes, they basically seem to float off the runway. Other airplanes, you know, our big jets and stuff, it's rotate, and there's a big deal about rotation. Okay, I forgot to do one thing. So we're gonna stop here. So parking brakes are on. I forgot to do something. So what we need to do is, well, let's go ahead and get to the nav aids, and we are at, let's see if we can pick up DTY, which is 116.4. So 116.4. Set that up in. And we're also going to do that with DME1. 116.4. We're 14 miles away, and that's the DTY VOR. And if we look down here, we should be on the 042 degree radial. There's 05. There's 042. So we're relatively close. We're at the end of the airport, so I'm going to say that's a pretty good little fudge factor for us right there. Okay? Our next VOR, though, is SAM. SAM is 113.35. So 113.35. I'm also going to set that in here, too. 113.35. Okay, so those are ready to go, and I'm going to make that active. And we know that we're at Austin when we're at the 137 degree radial. So let's go ahead and set 137 degree radial. There's 12, there's 135, 6, 7. Now, our first heading after takeoff is going to be 192 degrees. So I'm going to set this over here. There is 18, that's got to be 19, that's got to be 192 on the gyro pilot or the Sperry autopilot. I don't know if it's a gyro or not. Okay, now I think we're ready to go. Parking brakes are off, and let's go ahead and see if we can't line ourselves up on the runway. Add a little bit of power here. So we're good to go from our navigation standpoint too. VR rotate on this airplane is usually right around 65. And there's some B-17s standing by for takeoff here at Archbury. Now I believe that in the old days, they used flares from the tower. So the pilot's sitting here, the lead pilot is looking for a flare, and the other pilots just follow along. I'm really clumsy with this airplane because I'm not used to it. Okay, so once we get here, and you line up, we're lined up. That looks good. Parking brakes. Okay, let's go ahead and lock the nose wheel.
Tail wheel is locked.
Booster pumps. Booster pumps go on for takeoff. Boost pumps are on. Power 40 to 45 inches. Propeller 25. Parking brake release. Shall we give this a shot? What could possibly go wrong? All right. 40 to 45 inches of manifold pressure. Boy, I sure hope I set my... Okay, we're at about 2,700 RPM. Are we ready to go? I'm going to sit up in my seat just a little bit. Fact is, I'm going to move my main seating view so I can look out the window. Shall we release parking brakes? Parking brakes are released. Airspeed's climbing. Steering with the rudder. 40, 60, rotate. We're flying. We're flying. Oh my gosh. Uh-oh, there's a big antenna over there. Don't want to hit the big antenna. And we are out and about. Congratulations, we made it. All right, so we need to turn to a course heading of 190. Let's make it a nice, gentle right turn. Gently does it is a big thing with this airplane. Now, landing gear. You're going to try and raise your landing gear, and it's not going to go up because this airplane had a safety for the landing gear. And I didn't hit it. There goes landing gear. So we got a safety and a landing gear. Okay, and I think I've actually turned past. it. Whoops. Above 1,000 feet, booster pumps can go off. Our first head, we're supposed to go to 1,500, so there's cruise. So stop that, 1,500. There we go, that looks a little bit better. Propeller should be at 2,400 RPM. Okay, so we need to reduce the props. There's 2,400 RPM. And I'm still climbing, so let's do a little trim. Not even close to being ready to turn this over to autopilot yet. Little bit of aileron. And we're relatively good on our course. And I didn't even come close to setting this correctly. And I, of course, did this the wrong way. Oh, look at that. Did you see the VORs have kicked into gear? All right, let's go ahead and engage the gyropilot here. We're relatively good. There's our trim. I'm way too high. I'm supposed to be at 1,500 feet. Okay, to engage the gyropilot, there's a switch over here. Turn that switch, and then the gyropilot goes on. Autopilot is now engaged. All right, so now we're controlling with the rudder here, and I need to go a little bit to the right. Okay, landing lights can go off. Climb speed, we're not doing that. Passing transition, landing lights, cowl flaps, anti-ice. So mixture, now we go to auto lean. So there's our mixture to lean. Propeller is 1850 to 2000. So we got to reduce the propeller. How about right in the middle? Power is 31 to 32. So there's cruise power. Now, are we descending? We're still climbing, actually. So we need to stop that climb. And my heading is really, really bad. We need to be off to the right here a little bit. I don't think the gyropilot's doing its thing. I don't think I've got it engaged.
Autopilot disengaged.
See, it's not there.
Engaging autopilot.
Not even close. So I've clearly done something wrong here. Yeah, I've got something weird going on here. Well, live and learn on this one. Okay, so the autopilot's not my bud at this moment.
Autopilot disengaged.
All right, so let's go ahead and fly it the old-fashioned way. We're still climbing. I'm way too high. I'm going the completely wrong way. Now, chances are I'm so far off course or something, and that's why it's being a brat. I don't know why it's being a brat. But let's go ahead and get back to where we're supposed to be. Speed's about right, so that's pretty good, although there are speed limits for this. All the airplanes were supposed to go from the right, in the right direction. I'm wondering, is something not caged? None of this is moving. None of this is moving. We are over Oxford. So this was actually the airport that if you were flying this flight, you would be flying from. Okay, so we're going to go over North Oxford here. And we're going to get down to 1,500. You see how this airplane is a handful? I have to climb it again. But we do have DME. What do we have? We are 50 miles from that airport. Well, 50 miles from that, we are supposed to be 16 miles. So as we get closer, that number is going to go down. Okay, we're descending a little fast, I think. Making our passengers a little bit on the nervous side, I guess. So clearly I've done something wrong here. None of this is working at all. Well, it worked for me before. And there's 1,500, so let's trim some nose up here. Well, now it's 2,000. This airplane is an absolute handful. What do I got here for... those trims are actually pretty good. So clearly we got a problem with this. Just a little touch here. And it's kind of hard to see. Okay, let's make sure I could see the climb and descend. There's a gentle descent there. And we're still kind of going off to the side. Anyway, as you can see, this flight is really going to be a handful. I'd really like to get the gyro pilot going, but I don't think I've got a prayer of getting that going today. Probably froze something out. The thing is these airplanes were not the easiest airplanes to fly. Okay, now we're slowly getting over there, and yes, I've had to go to my cheat moving map here to see just how far off I've been. But it does work. This will be an interesting flight for sure. It will be at 1900 Zulu is when we do this over on Twitch. Of course, I do think that the VOD is going to be available for a while. If you'd like me to do this complete flight over here on YouTube, please put a couple of the put some comments in there. I am still really new here on YouTube, and I still read all the comments and suggestions. Was there a radio? Passing, landing, tail, window, propeller de-icer. Did I have an electronics thing over there? Something's weird about that. All right, so now we can go and get on our heading. And our heading is supposed to be down to Austin. It's 237 degrees. Hey, we're finally holding our altitude. I'm guessing that maybe the pilots sat a little bit closer so that they could see their instruments. Maybe that's a little bit better view. Okay, that is relatively close to where we're supposed to be. This is not working. No idea why. Nothing else I can click here seems to do any good. I can put the heading in, but nothing else is doing good. Uh-oh, getting a little low here. And we're just going to be busy flying along like this. Obviously, I need a massive amount of practice. Let's get a little bit more to the left here. If we had time to actually look out the window, this is a great airplane for the Orbix True Earth scenery. It really is a great airplane for Orbix True Earth. How's that DME doing? The DME's going down. So remember, to get to Austin, we're supposed to be at 16 miles DME, and if we're on our course, then this thing should center up on the 137. I do have that set, right? Yep, that's set up. And this is what we'll do. So let's go ahead and give that a try. See, we're passing Swindon in the UK. And you can see I'm getting back over here on my course line. Yeah, no idea how it is that I've managed to freeze this up. But this thing should be moving with our heading. And I don't know that there's a cage button that I missed or something like that. Okay, so this should be 237 degrees. And still climbing. We're kind of meandering around here. And we're indicating right around 180. I think the speed limits for this was a lot slower. Do I have my speeds? Yeah, we were supposed to be 100. We're supposed to be 140 knots. 140 knots is what we're supposed to be at. So clearly we're going way too fast. And I think that, you know, the airplanes were probably weighed down a bit and they wanted everybody at the same speed, and not every airplane went at the same speed. Why aren't you working? Very annoying. I wonder. Nope, doesn't have anything to do with that. I don't think it has anything to do with that. Can you imagine being the pilot doing this particular route, having to fly this one, and discovering, oh, the Sperry autopilot doesn't work? Little high. Coming over a small town called Lambourne. We're actually right on our course. What's going on with that DME? So it's still going down. So 13, 14. And since we know that we're now kind of on the course that we're supposed to be. Now, one of the things is that one of the things that they had is they had lights along the way. Let's see, I do have cruise power. For me was supposed to be between, in the old plane, it was supposed to be, the props were supposed to be 17 to 2,000. So the props were supposed to go back a little bit. And the RPM, 25 to 32. The manifold pressure was supposed to be 25 to 32. So if my speed seems to be a little bit high. So there we go there. So maybe that's going to help us get a little closer to where we're supposed to be on our speed. A little bit high. Slightly off our course. Wonder if I could just tap this thing. I bet that won't work. Basically, the plan is I'm going to fly this thing until we get to our first checkpoint, which is Austin, and then go and make breakfast and start getting ready for this flight and see if I can't figure out how it is that I messed this up. Okay, so now we're going down to our altitude here. Probably need to be a little bit more in this general direction. A little more to the left. Speed's still really high. We're supposed to be doing this at 140 miles per hour. So really oopsed on that one. We're going to 16 miles. What's it supposed to be? 16 nautical miles. So we're at 29. So we got about another, I would say, 10, 15 minutes. You could always fast forward the video. But this is the kind of flight planning. And I hope that some of the online resources that I've got there, some of the links might be of interest to you. So I guess we could run this closer to 17. So there's 18. So if we run this closer to 17, that's the bottom end of that, and closer to 25. That would get maybe our speed back down there. At least those are the notes that I had. Probably a few taps up on the elevator trim here. We don't want to lose too much altitude, but we do want to get our speed to where it's supposed to be. Little tap on the trim. And we're relatively close. So, you know, we're at 1,600 feet. We're supposed to be at 1,500 feet. Our speed is coming down to the 140 miles an hour that we're supposed to be at. Okay, there we are. A tap up on the trim. Not too much. Not too much airplane. There is no middle ground on the trim on this thing. They were a little off course. How far away are we? 25 miles, so we are less than 10 miles from we should, if I've done this correctly. Speed's a little bit better now. Now we're at about 155. And let's see if we can edge ourselves over a little bit more. Hopefully, I'm not going to be too terribly embarrassed here. And we're going to get the, we'll see that VOR start to swing over. How far? 24. Coming up on a town called Luggershow. Okay, there's 1,500. So trim is a couple just baby taps on the trim. Speed crept back up a little bit too. But we're a lot closer to where we're supposed to be. And just looking out the window, I mean, you know, 1,500 probably scared some of the cows and chickens. All right, let's cheat a little bit here, see how we're doing. So we're coming up here, and here is checkpoint Austin. So checkpoint Austin is supposed to be 16 miles DME. Boy, does this airplane love to drift. Yeah, if my autopilot worked, that would be better. Let's see here. Maybe So that, I believe, was supposed to be some sort of a hydraulic thing. I didn't read it completely. Maybe I have to pressurize something to make that work, but it's still not showing up the way it's supposed to. We're at 1,500 feet, so at least we got that, and we're a little on the fast side. So let's see, we could roll the props back a little bit more. And this could go closer to 25. And then that could get us on our speed. That should be fairly close to 192 degrees. All right. You can also see the pointer here is pointing over to the SAM VOR. How we doing in terms of our... Okay, 18. So unless I'm going to be a real idiot here on YouTube, this thing should start swinging over here. It should start to move here. We're right where we're supposed to be. We're a little low. We're climbing back up. Our speed's still a little high, but that's because we're descending. There's 18. Okay, so this should be 113.35, 11335, 17 miles out. We're supposed to be on the 137 degree radial. Did it move? Did it move? I don't think it did. It was probably wishful viewing on my part. Speed's a little closer to our right speed. It did move. It's moving. Look at that. It's moving. It's moving. Holy moly, it worked. Okay, so only just moderately humiliated here on YouTube, but that's, I think, one of the things that's supposed to happen here. Okay, 1,500. And after this, our next heading is 237 degrees. So it's 237 degrees. And okay, I'm going to call that centered. I'm going to call this right on. And there we are. That is checkpoint Austin, 237 degrees. So right turn to 237 on the heading. So all I got to do between now and this afternoon is figure out how it is that I've screwed up the autopilot down there. That's pretty good. Now, the other thing to do is to look over here, and Elko is on the 087 on the SAM VOR. So the 087, so dial this around again. There's 090987. And that's supposed to be 32 miles. So this is going to start going up again. And then it's 32 miles, and then we are at the checkpoint that we're supposed to be at. Let's go and hit this button, and let's see if that does anything. Okay, so the rudder is pretty good. This is our heading. How are we doing in terms of altitude? We're going slightly up. That's okay. I think I just was able to do this. This just doesn't seem to be right to me. And so I've clearly done something wrong there. And I don't know how it is that I would go and adjust that. It used to work. It doesn't work anymore. But it's holding my heading, and so that's good. I think I can go and rudder over a little bit. And it seems to be actually holding that heading. So something's weird about that, but hey, I'm not going to argue with that. Let's see. Let's go ahead and stop this climb. We are a little below 140 knots, so we need to, let's add just a little bit here. Let's get us right to 25. Oops, nope, this one. Oh, it's the Airbus detents. My Airbus detents are getting in the way. So I'm flying with the Airbus throttles. And it's trying to go back to the detent. So that is basically CL there. All right, well, let's try a little more propeller and see if that doesn't get us to about 140 knot. Yeah, that's pretty good. And the airplane is now in a bit of a turn. The airplane is turning, so this is not working. It's holding my altitude, but we're over Salisbury. Hello, Salisbury. Don't mind our loud engines here. You probably can see the airplane position lights. One of the things is we actually turn the position lights off. Okay, so that's not working so good. So let's go down here and what happens? Does this switch in the wrong direction?
Autopilot disengaged.
Yeah, this was doing the wrong thing here. Something's weird. Well, I got to work on that, don't I? Anyhow, at least we proved that the navigation thing is working. So it's breakfast time for me, and then all of a sudden we're going to go and come back on Twitch and see if we can't do this. As I always like to say, this is not necessarily about the right way versus the wrong way. This is merely what works, or in this case, doesn't really work for me. So I do hope you will join us over on Twitch. Let's see. Here's a little bit of information. Do please leave questions and comments in chat. I'm new here on YouTube, and so I do read all the questions and the comments. And if there's something, if you want to see the whole flight, or you'd like to see, want some more information, I'll read those. As I said, I'm also really new here on YouTube, so I'm not monetized. But if you liked what you saw and you wanted to see a few other things, please head on over to Twitch. You can subscribe. This is also the 50th video that I have done here on YouTube. So I did open a Ko-fi page. If you'd like to show some support that way, that would be great too. Thank you for flying along. I hope that this was at least somewhat helpful as you try and get ready for your C-47 flight here on D-Day. I will look forward to seeing you on Flight Plan Boston, and that's going to be coming up a little bit later on. Thank you so much for flying. I hope you are well, and we'll see you soon here again on YouTube, and even sooner on Twitch. Cheers.